everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Akshma and in today's video I will cover up 10th standard science first chapter, that is chemical reaction and equation. So let's start the class. First, what is chemical reaction? Chemical reaction. What this word indicate? Chemical reaction means a change in which one or more substances react and form a new substance, that is known as chemical reaction. Chemical reaction में क्या होता है? Chemical reaction में chemical change होता है जिसके अंदर two or more substances react करते हैं and form a new substance. So during that chemical reaction, the species which react with each other is known as reactant and the newly formed species or substance is known as product. For example, if we burn the magnesium, means magnesium react with oxygen and it will form the magnesium oxide. So in this reaction, magnesium and oxygen are the reactant while the magnesium oxide is the product. So इस reaction के अंदर magnesium and oxygen आपस में react कर रहे हैं तो उनके अंदर chemical change आ रहा है, उसकी वजह से फिर आपका जो product मिल रहा है वो है magnesium oxide. Now हम identify कैसे करेंगे कि chemical reaction हो रहा है या नहीं हो रहा है? तो ये कुछ पॉइंट्स हैं, इनको देख के, इनको ऑब्जर्व करके हम बोल सकते हैं कि केमिकल रिएक्शन हो रही है. फर्स्ट, चेंज इन स्टेट. चेंज इन स्टेट मीन्स सॉलिड्स कैन कन्वर्ट टू लिक्विड, लिक्विड कैन कन्वर्ट टू गैस, गैस कैन कन्वर्ट टू सॉलिड, लाइक दिस. सो देयर विल बी चेंज इन स्टेट ड्यूरिंग द केमिकल रिएक्शन. सेकेंड पॉइंट, चेंज इन कलर. कुछ रिएक्शंस के दौरान जब रिएक्शंस होते हैं, कुछ रिएक्टेंट रिएक्ट करते हैं और प्रोडक्ट बनता है तो उस टाइम वहाँ पे कलर चेंज भी हो सकता है, तो वो भी इंडिकेट करता है कि यहाँ पे केमिकल रिएक्शन हो रही है. थर्ड पॉइंट, चेंज इन टेम्परेचर. जब इन सम रिएक्शंस when some reactant react, in some reactions heat is released, so temperature of the reaction increases and in some reaction heat is absorbed. Okay, so this also indicate that chemical reaction is taking place. Last point is evolution of gas. When some reactants react, then there is production of some gas, evolution of some gas. This also indicate that chemical reaction is taking place. Now let us discuss example of chemical reaction in our daily life. First, digestion of food. Digestion of food is the example of chemical reaction क्योंकि during this process chemical change takes place. क्योंकि अपन जो खाना खाते हैं that food react with the gastric juice which is present in our stomach. Second example is the respiration. Respiration is also the example of chemical reaction क्योंकि during the respiration हम लोग ऑक्सीजन गैस इनहेल करते हैं एंड कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड गैस एक्सहेल करते हैं. थर्ड, रस्टिंग ऑफ आयरन. रस्टिंग ऑफ आयरन इज ऑल्सो द एग्जाम्पल ऑफ केमिकल रिएक्शन बिकॉज ड्यूरिंग दिस प्रोसेस आयरन react with oxygen and with some water vapor and it form the rust, that is Fe2O3. So during this reaction new product is formed, that's why it is a chemical change. Fourth is the formation of curd. Formation of curd is also the example of chemical reaction because during this process lactose convert to lactic acid. Now let us see the chemical equation. How we will represent the chemical equation? Chemical reaction. Chemical reactions can be represented by chemical equation. During the chemical equation हम लोग symbols use करेंगे for particular reactant और for particular substance और उसको हम represent ऐसे करेंगे chemical reactions को, reactant then product. product should be right hand side and reactant should be toward the left hand side. For example, burning of magnesium ribbon. Magnesium means magnesium is reacting with oxygen. So इस reaction के अंदर magnesium and oxygen are the reactant. So we will write toward the left hand side. And जब किसी reaction में more than two reactant are involved, for that we will use plus sign between that reactant, and we are getting the product this side. So arrows head always should be toward the product side, and its tail should be toward the reactant side. Now we will discuss about the type of chemical reaction. So there are 5 type of chemical reaction. First is the combination reaction, second is the decomposition reaction, third is the displacement reaction, fourth one is the double displacement reaction, fifth is the oxidation and reduction reaction. अभी हम डिटेल में पांचों केमिकल रिएक्शंस के बारे में स्टडी करेंगे. सो पहले हम स्टार्ट करते हैं कॉम्बिनेशन रिएक्शन से. कॉम्बिनेशन रिएक्शंस, व्हाट आर द कॉम्बिनेशन रिएक्शंस? द रिएक्शंस इन विच two or more substances combine to form a single product. Okay, the reaction in which two or more substances react and form a single product, that reaction is known as combination reaction. combination reaction को कैसे रिप्रेजेंट करेंगे? मान लो आपके पास two substances हैं A and B, उन दोनों के बीच में reaction होगी and then they will form a single product. See, so this is the peculiarity of combination reaction, that you always get a single product. Now what are the examples of combination reaction? First example is the burning of coal, and you know coal is a form of carbon. So during the burning of coal means carbon is reacting with oxygen and producing a carbon dioxide gas. तो आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे सिंगल प्रोडक्ट है. So this is a combination reaction. Next is the formation of water from hydrogen and oxygen gas. जब हाइड्रोजन एंड ऑक्सीजन एक दूसरे के साथ कंबाइन करेंगे then we will get the water. After that, third one, it's a very important example. When calcium oxide react with water, then it produces the slake line, and in this process heat is also generated, but you can observe only single product is there. In this reaction, calcium oxide, its common name is quicklime, and calcium hydroxide, its common name is slake line. जब भी कैल्शियम ऑक्साइड वाटर के साथ रिएक्ट करता है then it will form calcium hydroxide, and in this process heat is released. Now why I am using these symbols during this chemical reaction? It represents the state of the substance. Like calcium oxide is exists in solid state, water exists in liquid state. CaOH plus aqueous. Aqueous means the substance, the solute is dissolved in water. Means in this solution water is the solvent. Now the reactions in which heat is released. Now there is another concept. The reaction in which heat is released is known as exothermic reaction. So the below one example is also the example of exothermic reaction. So the type of reaction in which heat is released along with formation of product is known as exothermic reaction, and this is a very important example. This one example you can learn and can do for the combination reactions and for exothermic reactions. Second type is the decomposition reaction. So decomposition reaction के लिए definitions क्या लिखेंगे हम? The reactions in which a single reactant breaks down to give simpler product. That is known as decomposition reaction. General representation is when you will take a single reactant, it will get breakdown to simpler product, that is B and C. So इस reaction के अंदर a single reactant that is A is getting breakdown and forming simpler product, that is B and C. Now there are subtypes of this decomposition reaction. First is the thermal decomposition. Thermal decomposition मतलब breakdown तो हो रहा है, decomposition means breakdown, but in presence of heat. That is known as thermal decomposition. So when decomposition is carried out by heating, the reaction, the decomposition reaction which is carried by heating, that reaction is known as thermal decomposition reaction. Example, you will mention this example for the thermal decomposition reaction. When you will heat the calcium carbonate, when you will heat this compound, you will get calcium oxide and carbon dioxide gas. During this process, carbon dioxide gas will release. And one more thing, जब भी आप कभी देखो कार्बोनेट और अगर अपन कार्बोनेट को हीट करेंगे, then one of the product definitely will be the carbon dioxide gas. Second subtype of decomposition reaction is electrolytic decomposition. Electrolytic decomposition means breakdown of something, breakdown of any reactant when we will pass the electricity. That reaction is known as electrolytic decomposition reaction. So when a decomposition reaction is carried out by passing electricity, that is known as electrolytic decomposition. Example, आप water में से if electricity pass करते हैं, then it will get breakdown into hydrogen gas and oxygen gas. So this is the example of electrolytic decomposition. And in NCERT, electrolytic decomposition, there is one figure that is a very important diagram. Third subtype of decomposition reaction is photolysis decomposition. मतलब ऐसा decomposition which is carried out in presence of sunlight, that decomposition is known as photolysis decomposition reaction. Example, when you will heat silver chloride, AgCl is the silver chloride, then it will get breakdown into silver and chlorine gas. Yes. Now you can see in all these reactions, for taking place, heat is required in any form. In this, energy is required in the form of heat. In this reaction, in electrolytic decomposition, energy is required in the form of electricity. In photolysis decomposition, heat is required in the form of sunlight. So such type of reactions, the reactions in which heat is absorbed during the chemical reaction is known as endothermic reactions. For that type of reaction, we use another word, that is endothermic reaction. Endothermic reactions. During this reaction, heat is absorbed. Heat is absorbed. The type of reactions in which heat is absorbed, that type of reaction is known as endothermic reactions. Next type is the displacement reactions. So what is the definition of displacement reaction? Reaction in which more reactive element displace a less reactive element from its solution is known as displacement reaction. Means a strong element or will replace a less reactive element from its solution is known as displacement reaction. Example, when iron react with copper sulfate solution, then iron displaces the copper from its solution, that is copper sulfate solution, and form ferrous sulfate FeSO4 plus copper. And this reaction indicate that iron is more reactive than copper. Through displacement reaction, we can check the reactivity of the element, and this reaction indicates that iron is more reactive than copper. So this was about the displacement reaction. Now fourth type is the double displacement reactions. So what is double displacement reaction? The reactions in which exchange of ion between the reactant takes place is known as double displacement reaction. Let us see the example. Na2SO4. Na2SO4 is the sodium sulfate and barium chloride BaCl2. BaCl2 is the barium chloride. So if you will take the aqueous solution of sodium sulfate and will mix with the aqueous solution of barium chloride, then we will get the barium sulfate and sodium chloride. So during this reaction, we will get some insoluble substance in the solution. That insoluble substance is known as precipitate. So during this reaction, you will get the precipitate of barium sulfate. This indicates that barium sulfate is not soluble in the water. So the reactions in which insoluble substance is formed, that type of reaction is also known as precipitation reactions, or we can say that the reaction in which precipitate is formed is known as precipitation reaction. So this was about the double displacement reaction. Now the next and last type is the oxidation and reduction reactions. So what is the meaning of the term this oxidation? Oxidation means addition of oxygen to a substance. Oxidation means addition of oxygen to a substance, and in term of hydrogen, removal of hydrogen from a substance, that is known as oxidation. Oxidation, oxy means oxygen, addition of oxygen to a substance, and in term of hydrogen, removal of hydrogen from a substance is known as oxidation reactions. Now reduction. Reduction means in term of hydrogen, addition of hydrogen to a substance and removal of oxygen from a substance is known as reduction. Let us consider an example. When copper oxide react with hydrogen, it forms copper and water. So you can observe that this is copper oxide. When this reaction is taking place, oxygen is removing from CuO, copper oxide, and converting to Cu. So what is taking place here? Removal of oxygen. What is happening here? Removal of oxygen, and removal of oxygen means reduction. So in this here reduction is taking place from copper oxide to copper. Reduction is taking place, and we can say that copper oxide is getting reduced to copper. Or we can say that copper oxide is getting reduced to copper, and to hydrogen there is addition of oxygen is taking place and it is converting to water. So from hydrogen to H2O, addition of oxygen is taking place, and we know addition of oxygen is known as oxidation. So H2 hydrogen is getting oxidized to water. So in this process oxidation is taking place. Okay students, so in this video I have completed chemical reactions, examples of chemical reactions and type of chemical reactions along with some important examples and chemical equations. And in the next video I will take some important questions from this chapter. If you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment section. And thank you so much for listening.